am very thrilled to bring on Brittany Selah Lee Bay, who is currently a teacher in the DC Public Charter School. She's an author, educator, and an etymologist. Brittany, welcome to Win TV.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's really a pleasure to meet you. Um, well, first of all, tell us. I'm saying etymologist. I hope I'm saying it correctly, and tell us what that is.
So, an etymologist is one who studies etymology, and etymology is the study of the origin of words. So, as most people are familiar with, ology is the study of, you have biology, psychology, etc. But etymon, is Greek for truth. So, it's getting to the truth or the truest sense of what a word is, starting with its origin.
Wow, how did you get into the studying of words and their origins? Where did that come from?
Well, I've always been an avid reader and just I love language. Um, and I am a reading specialist by trade. So I've taught students how to break down words. And so it started introducing me to like word patterns. And then I would ask myself, well, why are these words spelled this way? And so then I started doing research on etymology to learn more about the words that I'm teaching students. And also, I had a mentor who was an etymologist and just taught me about how etymology can help with literacy. And so it just kind of took off from there.
You know, you're a teacher, I can understand that, and an author, so I can see where words are important to you. But what makes etymology a useful tool in teaching children to read?
So the number one thing that is really important to be a strong reader is having word consciousness, and that is having an interest and an awareness in words because you pay more close attention to words when you have fostered that word consciousness, whether it be again their patterns, um, their meanings, their spellings. So developing word consciousness is critical. And through word study, you can begin with phonics, and then you understand and learn about morphemes, so it's prefix, roots, and suffixes, and how these patterns in these words help us identify the meaning. And then the highest level of word study will be learning the derivations and the origins of words. And I teach at a school where students are learning Latin. They start in fifth grade. My school is 5 through 12, so they also continue to learn it in high school. And them understanding Latin has really helped with vocabulary because they understand, oh, well, this is the original or the origin of this word. Maybe if I have generation, for example, well, I know the origin in Latin is genus, and I know that the meaning of genus relates to the meaning of generation in general, and so on and so forth. So um, you can see that etymology helps with really loving language so that you are paying close attention to the things that you read, but also with word meanings and vocabulary. A lot of people may study Latin and etymology when they are doing the SAT or even with the spelling bee. Students say, what's the word of origin? Part of that is to help them understand how the word is spelled. And that, again, attaches to meaning, which is really important in literacy.
You mentioned something earlier. You mentioned a phrase, and I've heard a lot of parents say that kids in schools these days aren't learning phonics. You know, and I just went back when you said it. My people who are as old as I am, the ancient folks on the on the show, listening to the show, may remember when we were in classrooms and there was this, you know, the little tent, but there was this board, and the teacher would point to all of these. If I can remember it, but you know, just words and make us pronounce the sound of those words. Does that still happen in school?
I would say it doesn't happen at every school. So there are different philosophies of literacy instruction. There are those who believe that it's more important to learn the whole word so you can build your comprehension, and so they put less emphasis on phonics. And then there are some schools who put a stronger emphasis on phonics. And there's actually been a literacy debate for years. What is the best method? And recently in 2020, the science of reading was, I guess, introduced to society as being, the stronger way, the better way to teach literacy, and that does include having a base in phonics. And even some of the whole language advocates started to come around and say that yes, phonics is important. So I think we are starting to see it coming back around, but it hasn't been consistently in all schools for a while now.
Interesting. Because if and we're going to have this conversation later. I'm so glad that you're going to stick with us because we're going to have a roundtable on literacy with some of our other guests. But you've authored a book on etymology, and so tell us why you decided it was important to put your thoughts on paper, in a book, and what is the book about?
So the book is a workbook. It's designed to, it's the first book in a series. It's called EtymologyRules Back to Basics. And it's designed really for anybody who loves language, but I really want teachers, and whether that be a public school, private school, homeschool teacher, mom, dad, I really think it's critical to understand the foundation of language so that we can best teach our students. An example, have I have a client I worked with who was trying to get their child to pronounce the SH sound. And they said, well, here's the S, it says S. Here's the H, it says H. So when you put it together, it should say sh. And, that really confused the student.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could have a strong foundation in understanding that's a digraph. You put two consonants together that make one sound, that's a digraph, right? And TH, CH, SH, etc. So those kind of principles is where the workbook begins. I go on to morphemes, so prefixes, roots, suffixes, how to define a word using those word parts. I also talk about how to find the origin of a word. We talk about, I think one of the most fun things in there is I have an exercise on portmanteau words. And so those are words where you take a part of one word and a part of another word, and you put them together to create a new word. So one example would be, and I never knew this until I started doing research, but vitamin is a portmanteau word. It is vital and mineral put together. Like I said, you chop off a part of it and you create a new word. So I believe those are some foundations in understanding language that are critical to be able to teach students. It's what I use every day in my classroom, and I want to spread that to others. So that's
interesting. That's great. And so this is a resource for teachers.
Yes.
And how can they get a copy of your book?
So the book is available on Amazon. So just search Etymology Rules Back to Basics and you'll find it.
Wonderful. So we're going to go and talk with a couple of our other guests. We don't go away because we want to have a general conversation about what we as a community can do to really help improve the reading skills. And I say children and adults, because I think we can't leave anybody out. So I hope you'll be able to join us in a few minutes.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.